Today's project is going to be this SYX50. Someone in my wife's family bought this brand new off Amazon like 2 months ago, I think. And it already doesn't run. I think it only ran for maybe an hour. The pull start's broken. These handles are adjusted wrong. I see a couple other things, so we're going to run through this thing and try to make it right. First thing that I'm going to do right off the bat is just fix these handles. They're way off angle. A little kid riding this wouldn't even be able to use this correctly. That's looking much better. Next on the list is to fix this little pull starter. So I have a new one, so let's get this one taken off. Pull starter is off. I have the new pull starter. This is a Amazon knockoff, but since it's a Chinese bike, I don't think it's really gonna matter. This one's a little bit nicer. It's made out of metal, but it is a little bit different. The old one, as you can see, had a bigger spacing on the top, so I had to go through and find a screw that's going to work for this one. But other than that, I think it should pretty much just work. Okay, the new pull starter is on. Seems to be working. Before I try to start this thing, I'm just gonna check for spark because it wasn't running and I'm guessing something's up with that. Spark plug is brand new. Okay, I have the spark plug out and grounded to the cylinder head, so let's pull on it a few times and see if we see any spark. I don't see any spark, so that's probably why it's not starting. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna put a good spark plug in it. This is the little Chinese spark plugs that they come with. I'm gonna put a NGK in just to make sure that it's not the spark plug. So same test, ground it out here. Still no spark, so we'll have to investigate this. Alright, with the kill switch unplugged, I'm gonna try the spark one more time. Still no spark, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this cover back off so we can take a look at the coil. The pull rope's off again, still trying to get the spark. This wire, the ground wire, was a little loose, so I'm just gonna try it again. Since there's no pull rope here, I'm just going to use a drill with a 12mm and we'll check for spark one more time. No, it's not getting any spark at all, so we're going to have to check and make sure this coil is working. I'm going to go ahead and take this coil off, check it out, and then re-gap it, see if that changes anything. Coil's off. The flywheel looks okay, so I think I'm gonna re-gap it and see if that changes anything. To re-gap this thing, I just have a note card here. I'm gonna place over top of the magnets. Gonna take this coil, and it's gonna want to stick to the magnets. So basically there, I have it lined up. I'll go ahead and put my 2 bolts back in. I'm not going to tighten them up all the way until I check everything, but I'll get them 95%. Now I'm going to take the note card out, spinning it, Now I'm going to rotate this over a few times, make sure nothing's touching. Okay, now I'll check for spark again. Same test with the drill. Still no spark, so we're gonna have to take the coil off and test it with a multimeter. I have my multimeter here set to ohms, so I'm just gonna quickly check this to see what it's looking like. It might test fine, but I think it's bad. We'll see. So I'm gonna check the primary first by just connecting to the ground. Then I'll touch one of these leads. You can see 0.52 and 0.52. So that actually kind of checks out. And then I'll go for the secondary. 1.74 and 1.74. So this coil actually seems like it might be good, but I have another cheap Chinese coil I'm gonna throw on there and I'll test that out. Gonna put this new Chinese coil on real quick. Okay, let's check for spark. Hopefully this new coil is gonna work. You guys can see that. Oh yeah, it has good spark now, so I think we've probably solved that issue. I'm gonna put the cover back on and we'll see if we can get it started. Now that we have the spark figured out, I put the cover back on, the fuel's on, the little safety switch is on, so let's see if we can get this thing started now. I've already pulled on a good bit, but I think she'll go now. To finish tuning her up here. Had this thing run for a little bit. I adjusted the idle on it. It runs pretty decent now. I'll show you. Last thing that I'm going to do is fill up these tires with air, make sure the brakes work, and that'll pretty much be it. But here she is. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill the tires full of air. My air chuck won't fit in this tiny little tire, but this little tiny cat thing will, so I'm just going to set it to like 30 psi and let's see how long it takes. Not bad. Now I just need to do the rear. Tires are inflated. Last thing I'm going to do before I call this bike good is just make sure the brakes are working. Front brake. Both brakes are working good. That's going to do it for today's video on the service of this SYX 50. We had to replace the pull start and the coil. The coil we tested seemed okay, but obviously it was not. Once we got spark, we got her running. I adjusted the idle down, and it seems like it's good to go now. Other than that, we just adjusted the brake levers, we checked the brakes, we adjusted the tire pressure, and I lubed the chain. So I think we're good here, and we'll see how long this bike lasts now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.